Okay. Ready? Are we online? We're online, right?
Yes, Guruji,
Yes.
and it's working.
Okay, super. Namaskar, Adab. We have had some technical issues, so we are restarting our conversation. Thanks for being with us. Let me welcome you all to tonight's panel discussion. Sitar and Us, this is the second episode of this series, and we intend to bring forward um, ideas and visions of music, opinions of musicians in front of you. So, thanks for being with us. In the last episode, you have showered a lot of love and attention, and we are so grateful for that. Please be with us. Let me spend very little time to speak about other things, and let's get directly to the topics. So, let me introduce you all to the participants over here. So, we have Reena Shrivastava.
Namaskar.
We have Shravani Biswas.
Namaskar.
We have Mita Nag.
Namaskar.
We have Sahana Banerjee.
Namaskar.
We have Abhik Mukherjee.
Namaskar.
We have Rohan Dasgupta.
Namaskar.
And we have Murchana Adhikary Thakur.
Namaskar.
And my host, my student, my co-host, my student, Luisa Velez.
Namaskar.
So my first question will be for Shrabani. Shrabani, how was your how did you start? How did you come into music? If you could say something about your talim in the in the earlier years and how you grew out of it. Shrabani.
Well, good evening, my friends all, and thank you, eminent sitar player Subhranil Sarkar bhai, and feeling proud to be here.
Thank you.
Such a great event. And just I want to say, when I was just 6 to 7 years old, so that time in my family, no one was there musician, no one. But I heard to singing. My mother was singing that time, and sometimes she used to go to Shoma Ghosji, the Thumri Gaika Shoma Ghosji. Her mother school was there in Varanasi, Archana Chakravarti ji. So sometime sometime I also went there with my mother and just enjoy the vocal lessons. Okay, but I was just not interested to sing. But I just like to sit there, and my mother was singing about Raga Yaman. So these emotions, and I start to feel music that time. And what happened? Varanasi, there is many gully, very short lane, and my parents' house was just near river bank of Ganga. So there used to be one sitar school, small sitar school, and Pandit Duti Kishore Acharya ji was my first guru, and he was a disciple of Ustad Alauddin Khasam Meher Gharana. So all the time I was playing with the sand and this Ganga mati like this. So once he came to me and just this way he saw my palm and said, "Oh, there is music. Why don't you start to learn sitar with me?" Then I surprised. So I went with him and I saw sitar. Oh, this much big instrument. Then immediately I say, no, sir, no, Guruji, I can't handle sitar. I can't sit like this bigger instrument. So then he told me, if you play sitar, I will give you prasad of Saraswati Ma. Then I saw in the corner Saraswati Ma statue, and there are some apple and sweets and kheer. This is the special Bengali sweet kheer, milk and rice and this like pudding. So I love to eat, and I love to just grab this thing. And then I say, yes, I will learn sitar like this. So he used to teach me this is sa parda, re parda, but my eyes were in that corner, just apple.
The
If
apple
I
parda, yeah.
after a lesson, I can have this apple under sweet like this. So this way, slowly, I myself also I never knew how I came to learn all the sargam, alankar, and that time only alankar or sargam. So he's my Guruji's senior disciple. So many disciples they were used to sit together and they play so much speedy dance and dadri because Mayhar Garana like this. So I was sometimes I feel crazy. Oh, how I can play like this? But this way, 3-4 hours, I just used to sit. I never leave my sitar. I also try to play jhala and this like this. So this way, I always thankful to my first guru because he introduced me what is sitar like this. And then my family problem because we had joint family, so many brothers, sisters, and downstairs there are one very big sari shop. You know, Varanasi, there is Banarasi silk. So I cannot say shop. This was just like gadda. We say sari ka gadda like. So whole day from Ganga
Very
bank. So,
noisy.
yeah, noisy. Many tourists always used to come. So my mother just made a like some curtain way, some corner. She gave me for practicing. So what I did that. Yeah, I just inside curtain I started to practice, and if I listen some sound, okay, some purchaser are coming, they immediately just quietly I sit down inside the curtain, and I was waiting. Used to wait when they after purchasing they go, and then again I start my riyaj. So this is my first time.
Very interesting.
Then slowly I just. But my parents always supported me, and my brother, sister also. Then slowly, I started to go to BHU, Benares Hindu University. Then my supervisor, Professor Dr. Pushpa Basuji, Ram Chakravarti ji, and so Gopal Shankar ji. So I met them, and I had the guidance of these all gurus. And then my excited period from 2009, I just met my Guruji, Ustad Padmashri Ustad Shahid Parveen Khasab. And it was my dream from my childhood time because all the time I was listening that time radio and I had one small diary. So every time I used to write what time, which artist playing, which raga like this one, calendar like this. And after I just tell you, yesterday I listened this raga. So in 2009, I met Ustadji. Then I just, and it was very excited event. It was in my school, Speak Make program. During Speak Make program, and all the duties with me, how to welcome to Ustadji.
Yes.
Then I just had a humble request to Ustadji, if you have some time, if you allowed me, then can I have some lesson with you, because I am a great fan of you like this. And then he told me, Ustadji told me, okay, you bring sitar, I just check and then I will tell you, I will teach you or not. So whole night I could not sleep that night, and just my heart beats, you can understand. And then day after I just shivering my hands, and I took my sitar and just I played little.
And from there you became his disciple. That's so beautiful as a story. I think in our panel,
continue like
in our panel, almost all of the others are coming from backgrounds where their parents or grandparents were in music, and for you, and they all learned from their fathers, as a matter of fact, or their uncles, like that is so incredible. That's such a contrast, and it's very similar to mine as well, because my parents loved music, they love music, but nobody in my family was into sitar or any other thing. They learned some music, but not really. So I can relate to that. So
same.
That's so interesting. So Reena, if we take the story to your side, your story is very different. So you started with your father, who was such a noted sarod player, and you started with him. Could you say something about your journey?
Thank you, Subhranil, for inviting me here in this lovely panel discussion. My father, he initiated us in music, but it started from my grandfather. Uh, Manoranjan Chakraborty, he was a vocalist, and he used to work in Kakinada state as a state musician. And later on, my father, he was a vocalist earlier. Then he started learning sarod
क्या बात है?
from Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab. And he was a really, I would say, a crazy music lover and
क्या बात है?
a very dedicated artist too. And he decided for me and my brother that we have to come to music and we have to take as a means from that time profession also, because he was very strict that time. Because nowadays it's very different picture, but that time it was though parents are always decided for their children what they
True,
should do.
true.
And means and I started in a very early age at 5.5, 6.
क्या बात है?
And first I got my sitar, baby sitar. It was very exciting moment. But later on, I understand that it's not so easy for me, and it will not give any pleasure to me that time.
True.
Because I have to play do riyaz in a very strict
True.
method. Yeah, I have to
True.
wake up at early morning at 4:30 because I have to go to school and make my riyaz too. So
Before
from
that,
that
yeah.
time, yeah, he sits in front of me in the morning and make me means riyaz. And first of all, the technical thing, but because so young children, you don't have to. I think don't have to give them many ragas, many bandishes. Uh, Initial stage, you have to just polish your hands. Technically,
True,
should be brilliant.
true,
So the Murchana, paltas, and all those stuffs I
true.
have to do. And he was a very strict teacher, strict guru. You can't say no or
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that. Yeah. And
क्या बात है?
it goes on like that. And my father is very social and very means what what should I say? Very that type of person that his guru was Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahab, but he was very much
Open.
yeah, to with Ustad Amir Khan Sahab too, with Ravi Shankar Jethu and Nikhil
क्या बात
Banerjee
है?
too. And
क्या
though
बात?
he was a sarod player, he take me to those maestros that anything wrong if I am playing or anything goes wrong. So for check in, he just I went their places and just they helped me a lot. Nikhil Kaka, many technical things I
क्या
learned
बात है?
from him, and Ravi Shankar ji also. And I started my big stage from Southern Music Conference when I was 10 years old.
हम्म, क्या
So
बात है?
that is a big story. But later on, uh, means so many musicians, they are all maestros. I couldn't understand that time. But later on, just it comes to my mind, it gives me goosebumps like that. And one thing I should say, in my scholarship period, 2 years, I'm so fortunate to learn from Pandit Manilal Nagji, Manilal
क्या
Kaka.
बात है?
Yeah, and I couldn't continue because that was after my marriage. I just moved to Hyderabad, so I couldn't continue training from him. Like this, just it started my journey.
Didi, I would remind you about that story of you and Rajiv Da being taken
Yeah.
to the hills. Could you say that story? I think it's
Yeah,
very inspirational.
it's a very interesting one. My father was a very means a huge music lover, and he's a crazy person about music. He always
क्या बात
crazy about music. Just he decided to take us to hill station for practice, he decided.
क्या
He
बात है
went to our school and talked to our principal and asked her to give us permission to go to Karsiyong and for 2 years for practice.
क्या
And
बात है
such a nice, yeah, we are so fortunate. And what a
Yeah,
nice
absolutely.
thing happened. The principal and the school, they allowed us. And end of the year, we come here and give exam and again going back there.
That's
And
beautiful.
it means nothing was there. Only whole day practice, practice, practice.
क्या बात
But
है
we did it, and we are so fortunate that uh, our father, he decided that way, and he planned that way. That's why I am playing today, and I'm a
क्या बात है
sitarist.
क्या
So
बात है
this is the story.
क्या बात है That Didi, that reminds me of a story that I had heard from Vilat Khan Sahab.
Yeah.
I have been very fortunate that I have worked in a documentary on Vilat Khan Sahab, which hasn't seen the day of light. I mean, light of
Mhm.
day, or
Mhm.
whichever it is. Anyway, so that documentary is, I feel, one of the most um, incredible of documentaries on Vilat Khan Sahab. I have done the background sound of it, and over there, I've heard Vilat Khan Sahab saying that Imdad Khan Sahab's father, Savdat Khan Sahab,
Yeah.
took Imdad Khan Sahab away from the city life, Agra, when 1800s, and what city, so that kind of thing, not like our cities, right, where there are so many distractions. I mean, distractions. So Imdad Khan Sahab was taken to Itawa, and he was in Chilla for 10 years over there. But the reason was that Imdad Khan Sahab wanted to play with such control and precision and beauty that he could play with Kudo Singh Maharaj, the Pakhawaji, the legendary Pakhawaji. And he had gone to the Nepal Darbar to meet him, but unfortunately, uh, Maharaj had, I mean, Kudo Singh Maharaj had passed away. So the Maharaj of Nepal had said that, both your name and fame, both the artist's name and fame and pride has been saved because one of the masters are not here. God knows if both of you had played together, what would have happened. So that's so incredible, but it's something which is almost impossible in this age, perhaps, to
And
think about going for a retreat in such a way for 2 years.
And one thing I just remember now that not only our family moved, he take Bonumali Das as Bonumali Kaka with us, and he stayed with us for 2 years.
क्या बात है
He planned like that they have to practice with tabla also. So
क्या
that
बात
is
है
very important. Yeah,
Incredible.
so this
Incredible.
really this is very special it's special thing in our life, and thank God he have decided like that. So we are so
Absolutely.
fortunate. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mita Di, I think you also started out, I mean, you're coming from such a famous lineage and with, so many generations of musicians. And could you share some of your stories about from your childhood? How did you start learning? How was it?
I have seen music in my family since I was born. So I grew up listening to music. And I'm supposed to be the first woman in my family to just play the instrument or to be in music. And the sixth in the generation, in the lineage. So my forefathers, they actually hail from Bankura, a district town of Bengal. And my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, Shongitacharya Gopalnath, he had learned from Guru Ramkrishna Banerjee of Vishnupur Gharana. And like Bishnupur, this is one gharana that originated only in Bengal, and it has a very glorious history. But my grandfather actually, he migrated from Bankura. First, he was in the Chanchar estate as the court musician of the royal family of Chanchar. And then he just migrated to Uttarpara, the suburb town on the opposite side of the Ganges, just um, opposite to Kolkata. And there in the residence of the Bandopadhyay family, where the great Dasius Uday Shankar and revered Pandit Ravi Shankarji, then the singer Shochin Dev Bormon, Angur Bala, they all used to come and assemble, and that actually then Uttarpara became a seat of music. Then we shifted, like my grandfather, then he became a professor at Rabindra Bharati, he shifted to Kolkata. And my father also, then he settled in Kolkata. He was also in Uttarpara as long as my grandfather was there. Then they all moved to Bagbajar in Kolkata. So I was born into this family, and since my childhood, I have seen so many great musicians, and especially great tabla players who used to come to our family either to just perform with my Baba in conferences. Because when I was born, Baba was in his prime time. He started his career when he was 14 years old. His debut was in 1954 at the All India Music Conference with Pandit Anokhilal Mishra ji on the tabla. And so when I was born, he was in his prime time. He was 30 years old. And in my home, I saw always a festive mood of music. There was my grandfather. He had then left performing on the stage, but he was very strong and he was in full form, and he was teaching so many disciples. And my father was there, and all the musicians, they used to come to our house, and there were like so many music conferences where I, as a small girl, I was not allowed to go to all the conferences because then I would get distracted. And my mother was also very, very particular about my education along with my sitar. So I started my sitar, like as a toddler, I used to imitate the sitar with a ladle, a wooden ladle. It was a bigger ladle. We call it taru in Bengali, which is used to make sweets. I used to imitate when I was a toddler. And so my father, everyone in the family, and my father's students, they used to just persuade. They used to persuade my Baba that why don't you get a sitar, a real sitar for your daughter? And you know what my father used to say? This is a big paradox. Like he used to say, well, she is born a woman, she will get married, and then nobody will allow her to play sitar in public. So he had a typical conservative middle class, man's mind. But then my mother said, no, at least she should play the sitar. This is something divine. And we'll see later what happens to her. But since this is a very, very prestigious heritage, and since she is showing the interest to learn, so let her start learning sitar. And it was a coincidence when I was about 5.5 years old. One Diwali, on the Diwali Eve, my father was coming from Goriahat, from Hiren Jethu's shop after getting his jawari done. And I saw like a very small sitar wrapped in the newspaper. And he came, he handed it to my mother and said, Hemenda has gifted it to Mita. So Hemenda is actually, it was not Hiren Jethu, but it was Hemen Jethu who gifted me a small sitar, and he told Baba, let your daughter play with it. Play with it. So that would be my plaything and my plaything.
क्या बात
Okay,
है?
so I started playing that sitar, and like so far as my memory goes back, sitar playing came to me very naturally. Like I didn't have to put any effort to play it. Like nobody showed me how to sit or how to hold the sitar because I was already imitating. And my mother just showed me the frets and just positioned my finger once, and I could just, as if it was in me, and I was just waiting for the real sitar to be in my hand. Like it came to me very naturally. And the
True,
first
true.
few months, I should say for a year, Baba was nowhere around me. He was busy with his own career. So it was my mother who made me sit and do all sorts of practice, as Reenadi has said, as Shrabani has said. All those rigorous practices, the palta, the lead, gama, bone, everything repeatedly, like drilling, and my mother is a very, very dominating and strict person. She has the last word. So if she said that you have to sit and practice, there was no way for me to escape. And as
क्या
I
बात
told you, as there was too much, always too much of a halla balla in the house, and I didn't really have any like corner to practice for myself.
है?
Luckily enough, my maternal grandmother's house was very close by, and so I was actually brought up mostly in my maternal grandmother's house, and she was a lady very disciplined, and she used to make me study, make me practice music. So after practicing, I used to go back home, and then there I could just listen to the others or play around for some time, again come back to my Dida's house and again do my routine work. That is
क्या
how
बात
my
है?
talim started until about 1.5 years later. Baba called me one day and just he verified that whatever I had learned from Ma, and he saw that yes, I was in a position to be taught. And then he
क्या
started
बात है?
teaching me, yes, slowly, little compositions, Dhruth Bandish, and little of Bistar and Tans. But I never had a notebook. It was all Shruti. He
क्या
used
बात है?
to just
Very
sing or
important.
he used to just play, and he didn't write anything. That is why even today, I'm very weak in writing notations because I grew up only by listening and playing, and we had no recording devices. We just had to memorize. So
Such an
after
important
he
point you have
taught,
mentioned.
yes, just practice by remembering. If I made any mistake, Dadu was around and he used to correct me. Budi,
Mm,
this is how you should play this one. And that is how I had my training. There was no notebook. There was no recording.
true.
I just had to remember, listen, and play. That
क्या बात है?
was that was it.
That's so
And I
beautiful, and
made
there's so
my
many
debut,
things.
yes, when I was
Yeah.
10 years old. I remember it was the International Year of the Child in
Uh-huh.
1979. And
Uh-huh.
this Shuresh Smriti Shamshad, there was
Huh.
Kanai Jetru, Kanai Ghosh,
Huh.
who was a connoisseur of music. Rina, we must be knowing about him, and the grand Lakshmi Puja in his Salt Lake residence. So Kanai Jetru, and so he invited me to perform, and that was my debut at Mahajati Shadan. And it was also a remarkable and incredible memory because the last artist of that evening's conference was none other than Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. And he
Uh-huh.
was standing in the wings and he was listening to me
Oh, it's
playing.
such a
And I remember that when I finished playing, I was not at all conscious of, like, I knew that I had just learned by heart, and whatever I had to play, I just had to. At that age, you are not really aware, of the audience and who is there and how you are
true.
playing. It's like just reciting. I was there and I played. And I remember when I just put down my sitar and went to the wing, he hugged me. And then he
क्या
said,
बात है?
okay, bahut acha hai. And then he spoke to my mother because my father was there and he was not in front of me. He was in the green room because he never used to be in front. If I made any mistakes, then he would feel very, very ashamed of my mistakes.
So sweet. That's so sweet. There's so many things. I mean, there are many indicators over here, I feel, that we can take out of this. One is that very important for those people who are listening and who are aspiring musicians, who are students right now, that often just by watching, you can understand how the muscles of the hands, how a phrase is pulled, and how you stop. And those kind of things people can absorb by being in front of their gurus, because you see and hear both and they make a sense together. And such kind of things come so naturally to people in whose family music is already there. Either you're having concerts at home, a connoisseur, because many people are wonderful musicians now whose family, whose parents or grandparents were connoisseurs of music, because they could listen to great musicians in one place. So I think that's such a wonderful thing that you said about the mahol that you got, the atmosphere at home. It made such a huge difference and such beautiful stories. Thank you, Mitadi. So let's go to Reenadi. Reenadi has something to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I have just want to mention one thing. Basically, my father is a businessman, but he was not a professionally sarod player, but it's he was so crazy and a great lover of music. Just and obviously it started from my grandfather. That's very natural.
Right.
But he he took the whole thing, like that time ustads and pandits, that they used to doing what you mentioned before, Subhranil, that doing riyaz and rigorous training and all that means no mercy, no means
No
you
mercy.
have to do it. So that's very
Exactly.
important. So parents
Just
and
like what Mitadi said. Yeah.
any of any person from your family, your mother, father, or uncle, auntie, if they stands, that's really means it comes out brilliant, I think.
Absolutely. I think for Riaz, when somebody is a child, I mean, playing on the fields, playing in the fields, or doing whatever you want to do is
Yes.
much more enticing than sitting with an instrument where your finger could get cut and all this.
Yeah,
You might have backache and all these things. I think at that time, if slight discipline could be put,
yeah,
I think it goes a long way. As your own stories say, I mean, Reena, Mita, both your stories are like that. Perhaps for people who have started later, it's a completely different story. We'll come to
different.
that, but before that,
But in
yes, Reena.
Piku's thing, that he decided to play sarod, not me or my father. He decided. He was always very much interested in sarod, not in
Uh-huh.
sitar. That is
Right.
very. I don't know why, but okay. I said okay. Then play sarod, and he started from my father. So that
Kya
that
baat hai.
that very
Kya baat hai.
nice.
I think it's the mahol that makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
mahul is
Yeah,
very important.
yeah.
And discipline, little bit of discipline and routine. If
True,
parents
true.
means make for their children, it helps a lot,
It makes a
I
big
think.
difference.
Yeah, makes a big
So,
sense.
I mean, Shahanadi, you also have, we have talked so much about music, discussed about so many things. So, Shahanadi, your story is also very similar. Could you say something about your
Yeah.
past?
Yeah, Shubhranil, I want to give my wholehearted thanks for inviting me in this panel discussion. It is really interesting and enriching. And
Thank you.
you know that if someone is born in a musician's family, their stories are almost same. Just as Mita they told, as Reena they told, I can connect myself. And you know, my mother was a vocalist, and my father, you know, that was my
Yeah,
father.
of course, of
So
course.
yeah, so my mother was vocalist of Rampur Sesan Ghara, and my Nana ji means Amar Dadu. My Dadu was disciple of Ustad Mustaq Hussain Khan Sahab and Asfaq Hussain Khan Sahab of Rampur.
क्या बात है?
So it was total hardcore gharanadar atmosphere at home when Ma is singing bandishes from Saswan and Baba is just showing the Rampur Senia Alap Jod Jhada in Dhupadang. So it was, that it's a very hardcore classical ambience and Riyazi ambience, Talimi ambience. So when I was born, unknowingly, actually, as we are born in musicians' family, we start very much unknowingly. We cannot tell that when we started. So from my childhood, I could speak all the names of ragas. All the names. When I just started talking, my father's students, they used to ask me, Bubai, what is this raga? I used to say Garbari. Garbari means Darbari. Puriya Dhanasri, I could not pronounce nicely, but properly, but somehow Kafi. And some people, they used to call my dad, and if I picked it up, they used to ask me, tell me, who am I? So I could tell them that means I could recognize the voice, and even they used to ask through telephone, which raga is this? They will sing. So it was like this. And then at home, I just, as Mita they told, that imitating. I used to take the sitar and I used to imitate like my dad. And I used to see that my father's senior students, whom I used to call them Kaka, Dada, like this. And they will give me a chocolate and they will give me the sitar. They will pamper me like this. Just going on like this. And when I don't know when I started, but from very childhood, I used to sing. Vocal music was my first love. So I can remember Bana Bana Dhurana, Na Bolo Sham, and in Hindol there was another bandis. So Koili Abule Bana Me Dare Dare. So these three bandishes, and then Kafi Kadarapia Nahi Amore Kaise Jaun and Khambaj. So these bandishes Ma taught me, and if someone used to come to our place, they will tell me, Sahana, please sing, and I will sing and I will sing. And there was something that if my mom did not allow to sing with her, I used to be so upset. During that time, my mother was vocalist. She was pursuing her vocal professionally. She used to perform. So, and at that time, I used to see that Mama is calling someone for tanpura and vocal support. And I used to be very much upset. At that time, I was 4.5 and 5. Means it was my right to sit beside her to give her support. So I was like that. And then Hiren Jethu's son, means Hiren Roy, the manufacturers, they are very much close to and connected to our family. My father's all instruments are from them, and my sitars, and his son, Amit Roy, Bachu Dada. Bachu Dada is staying in Japan right now. He used to learn from my dad at first. And I used to call him Bachu Dada, and he gifted me a little sitar where my nickname is, written there. And it was my birthday. So 5 years back. I am completing 4 and entering to 5. So I got my sitar and then I started. So my father, the one thing, as Mita Di told, I used to sing all the bandishes, especially Drud bandishes. But my father's students, they are playing, they are literally, they are taking lessons from my dad. If they are mistaking, I used to tell them, no, this is not like that. This is, it will be like this. So at first I started with da 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 ra da ra. So I was so excited when I will play. And da ra, no, I da 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 da. I used to play, I started playing with all the bandishes with da. Da 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 da. Then my father told da ra. Da means I, ra means ja. Chole aaye, aja. So in and out. So I started like this. And I don't know how I then gradually I became so much inclined to sitar. And dhire gradually, I just, that my singing lesson was going on. Even the last day of my mother, she showed me Jhinjati, even the last, before her death. But my riyaz, the interest for riyaz just channeled towards my sitar playing. and I love to do riyaz.
Kya baat
I
hai?
never had so many friends, never had so many things. Storybooks, painting, and riyaz. These three
Kya
things
baat
I
hai?
loved. And when I was back from, actually, I got up from bed. I used to listen that my mother is, maybe she's singing Bhairo, nahi to Lalit, Tori, like this. Her riyaz. At that time, my father used to do yoga. He was
Mhm,
very much disciplined, a yoga oriented person,
mhm,
yoga, meditation. And then
mhm.
Baba will go to market for sabzi and all. Then he will come
Yeah.
back and I will sit for riyaz for half an hour, because at 9:30 my bus will come. So
Ah,
you touch your sitar and do at least half an hour palta and all, then go to school. So,
kya
and
baat hai?
after coming back, I used to take my sitar and for 2 hours almost, and then my studies. And then when Papa's class was happening, so I used to tell them, no, I don't want to go upstairs. I will do my homework in between your class. So my mother used to tell me, go upstairs and do your homework. And no, no, no. And then gradually, what Papa used to teach his students, I used to learn after listening them,
By listening.
And
Yeah.
I am, yeah. So, that I was at that time, maybe I was 8 years old, 9 years old. So my ear was so much in music. So I could even during my sleeping also, my mother used to sing something. So like this, and gradually I took it so seriously, and I love to do riyaz. So they never, my mother was very much particular. If I didn't do riyaz, even, means when I was in 8, 9, 10th, it was bit pressure of studies. But Ma was very much strict. She will come and she will sit during my riyaz and she will sing. She will sing the raga. She will show me paltas. She will show me the path for making tans and vistarang. And Baba will sit with all the, the talim session,
Kya baat hai?
the special talim session. So
Kya
it
baat?
was like this. It was very spontaneous. Nobody told me to play sitar. It was very much spontaneous, and I felt that sitar means, means without sitar, I just
There is
could
no
not
life.
think.
Yeah.
No, means
Yeah.
it was very much spontaneous and very much, that the whole environment was music. I just so many eminent musicians, they used to visit our home. I saw Nikhil Banerjee, Pandit Nikhil Banerjee also, very good
Kya
friend
baat
of
hai?
my dad. Buddha Kaku. Buddha Kaku
Kya
was
baat
very
hai?
much Pandit Buddhadev Dasgupta. Indranil Bhattacharya, Pandit Indranil Bhattacharya. He used to love
Kya
me a
baat?
lot. Whenever he used
Kya
to
baat hai?
come, he taught me some guts, and he used to love me a lot because he always, whenever he used to come, he always saw that I am practicing.
Kya
So
baat
he
hai?
was so impressed
So
to
he
see me.
feels inspired to teach.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that is so interesting that
yeah,
that reminds me of something that we have all heard, that in olden days, or
yeah,
in olden days, in the like in the 1900s, ustads used to come together and practice together, share their ideas,
right,
bandishes, and some
right,
other ustad used to make jora of that bandish and
right.
such kind of things, right? That
Yes,
was the
yes,
thing.
I
And
have
then,
experienced.
yeah, and then when you were growing up, that kind of thing where you are not Indranilji's student,
No,
yet
still,
it just
yes,
out of love he shared
yes,
compositions.
yeah,
So in that way, if you see now, it's very quite different, where gurus do not really always allow their students to go and listen to many other musicians, or interact with other musicians. What do you think might be the reason behind that? What changed?
it is the saddest part. Actually, sharing is the thing that people can be enriched. It is kind of learning. When we
True.
learn from our own guru, and also when we are shared with through some discussions and some lectures or some tips from other exponents, it helps a lot. It
True.
helps a lot. But
Also,
nowadays it is not happening. It is, I don't know, but I have seen this golden time. Even my parents, they always told me, see, Mitadi is playing, Mitadi is playing
Kya baat.
her radio broadcast, and they used to love Mita Di a lot. So Mita Di knows that. So
Yes.
they always showed me that you see that how Mita Di is playing. She's very good in studies and she's doing music so nicely. You have to be like her. So
Kya
it
baat
is
hai.
it is a broadness. It is a broadness. You know, nowadays we only find that parents are only talking about their children.
True.
But we have experienced that my parents, they're so broad-minded. They gave me that sanskar to respect each and every
Kya
one.
baat hai.
That
And
is very
I want
Yes,
to.
I remember, Subhranil, just one point,
Yeah.
I'm interfering because it's very emotional.
Yeah.
I got my first junior talent search scholarship, and Shantosh Jetu was actually the judge. Like he
Kya baat
was
hai.
in the audition panel, and that scholarship actually he sanctioned after listening to me. So I remember it so fondly that I was just 10 years old then, and this audition was held at Sakhawat Memorial
Mhm.
School, not Sakhawat, I'm sorry. Yes, Sakhawat Memorial. And then he listened to me. I was playing Nag Bhairav. And
Kya
I
baat
know
hai.
how meticulously my mother made me do that riyaz for Nag Bhairav, and Shantosh Jetu was there. And so when I was just after the performance, when I was coming out, he just told me, go home and tell your father that Shantosh Banerjee was there. I'm sorry to.
I think Mita Di's video is
Yeah. I think she got disconnected, sadly, but
Yeah.
she's going to come
Yeah.
online any moment.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so that thing about exchange and respect for other musicians' disciples, it was a hallmark of that age. I think all of you who have seen that age, even us when we were, yeah, Mita ji has,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Mita ji,
somehow
please,
got
yeah.
disconnected. I'm
No
back
worries.
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Hmm.
so Mitadi, it's so nice that you shared. And I was saying that in that was a time when people used to be appreciating other musicians, student in a very
Students.
open-minded way, very very generous of them. And nowadays, perhaps it's not exactly the same. Uh, but I have to also say something over here. For example, all the things that were shared with you, Shana di, Mita di, from other people, from Reena di, Shrabani di, from other ustads, I'm sure your parents, your gurus, also checked what was shared and helped you digest that, because that is also important, that one has to make sense of what they're getting. Otherwise, it's not going to make any sense, right? So that is also very important, taking in and also having your guru. It's not like you go to 20,000 people and take one composition from each people, then you're not going to perhaps get the essence of Indian classical music. Oh, having said that, so Luisita, I mean, I think you can go forward with your question. You can ask your question that you had, because you are seeing all these people, and all of them are Indians except for you, and they have had this beginning, which is wonderful. They started really well. They had parents who supported, or they had parents who were gurus, so they had the atmosphere. No, so your question, please, Luisa.
Yes, Guruji. So
Namaskar.
it's been wonderful for me as a, let's say, an outsider, right? Because I'm not from India. I didn't know how this incredible. I have always said to Guruji that this way of transmitting music through the generations so efficiently, and so, because with this memorizing and not recording, and then flowing of music through the centuries, is very amazing for me, and I've been always interested in knowing how it's done. So now that you are sharing how you absorbed and how you took from your family members, from the musician surroundings, it's really wonderful for someone like me, or my um, Guru Bandhus from outside India, how it's happened. So I had a question regarding this. that is for you who have been very fortunate to grow up in this environmental in this environment. You have told how it's been passed, but for students who were outside your family, how was the learning process for them? Like, could they stay the whole day with your gurus, or they just came for a little period of time? Sorry, period of time. How was for them?
So
Uh,
let me take that question and put it for Reenadi first. Reenadi.
Uh, Firstly, I would like to say that one line, love for music. You have to be crazy for music. Yeah. In abroad, the children are not, should not start. Yeah, maybe not, they are not able to start in so early age. But they have to listen music first. And if their
True.
parents, yeah, just it's a habit. You have to listen not only classical, the world music, I think, not only hardcore classical. Because when my son grows up, he's from our musical family, but he used to hear world music too. So I should not stop him. So that is the main thing, love for music. And automatically your ears, the good thing always comes. And then after listening and choosing your guru whom you want to go and take lesson, obviously this is guru shishya parampara. You have to go to some guru and start learning. But gradually, the guru will show you the path, I think. And
Correct.
then listening is very important. Very important. Means I think in 100%, listening should be 60%, 40%
Correct.
riyaz. Yeah.
Very
But
true.
initial stage, it's just changes. It's 60
Oh yeah,
40
absolutely.
because that
Yeah.
time we don't know what to hear, what to means how to enjoy the music and all. Musical things just we enjoy, but what is good or what is to means I have to take as a mic playing. So, but
Yeah.
I think love for music, and if you are determined to play any instrument or vocal music, and you just go to a guru, appropriate guru, and start your training. And riyaz is very important, and listen, the two things I think is very important. And gradually your
True.
maturity, everything comes automatically if you are in music.
True. Reenadi, I think her question was something like this, as I understood, that
Yeah,
often people in India get the opportunity to
yeah,
be with their gurus for a prolonged period of time,
yeah.
and which many people from many other countries do not get the opportunity. So how do you train, or what kind of ways of training do you involve for those kind of people, because they cannot always come to India? So that was perhaps the question. But what you said about
Nowadays,
Riaz is very true. What you said
yeah,
about listening, it's so true. I mean, and also I felt with my own experience, when you start out, your listening also needs training. You are hearing, but you're not hearing it properly. You do not see all the nuktachi and everything over there. So there's so many things. Guided listening sessions where one's guru is going to guide their student, listen together with the gurus, I think makes a big difference. And that's what you said, and that's so nice. And
but
yeah,
nowadays
Lucita.
time has been changed from before.
True.
You have to
True.
understand that also.
True.
But the nice thing is internet and this phone and all the technical facility are there.
That is true.
Means lovely
Absolutely
facilities are there,
true.
which
True.
that time we don't have.
True.
So
That is true.
so you have to understand about the time, and you have to means um, very intelligently you have to go with that. If your guru comes to
Absolutely.
your place, you will take your lesson, or means in WhatsApp or any online we are taking lesson, but you have to be serious about that.
True. Very true.
Very
Very true.
often you need the talim and all
True.
that, because
True.
we have to understand the time and the distance and everything. So
And
for
socioeconomic
work,
conditions, and the
yeah,
world is
yeah,
changing, no
everything.
doubt. I mean,
So
things are
for
changing.
distance people, it should be like that.
True. True.
But
True.
it will
Yes.
go very good. It means it will come out very nicely, I think. But you
True.
have to be
True.
serious with, means
True.
about your taking lessons, taking talim, and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree with you, Reena. It's being serious in anything makes a big difference. So, Lucita, you had a question, I think. Could you ask?
Yes, perhaps I could not express my question clearly. So it was more towards asking, many of you have been the daughter or the son of the guru, but how about the other students, your guru bandhus, who were not part of the family and were also learning? How was the tradition for them? Because they could not stay all
Kya
day
baat hai?
with the guru, right? So how
So
was for them?
I'll take cue from there, and I'll add Anindoda's question to it. Sarot player Pandit Anindo Banerjee. So he had asked about this two very important things. He had asked, could you, I had asked him, and he had these questions. Why are there two types of talims, khas and am? So special and everyday. That's what Anindoda's question is. And um, uh, and so this question, I'll go to the next part of the question as well. So let's ask um, uh, Murchana about it. Murchana, what might be your opinion in that? And we have to say, before Murchana says anything, we have to say, because we had this technical issue and because we had set the time from 7 to 9, we lost a lot of time. So we have got very little time. So we have to make it very precise as well. But also we wish to do another episode later as well, so that many other topics are covered with the same people. So Murchana, please.
Thank you so much, Subhranil. I'm really so happy to be here and to listen to such wonderful conversations and about all the DDs telling about their childhood. I remember remembering me of my childhood also. Really so nice to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
what we
coming.
were talking about khas and talim, the difference that we have. Actually, what I think is that previously, when those ustads or pandits and the legends or the gurus, when they used to, a few years back, what I'm talking about, they used to choose the student, they used to check the students, or they used to, uh, examine the students to a long level before they actually start teaching. Huh. My mother's guru was Ustad Ilyas Khan Sahab of Sarjanpur, Lucknow Sarjanpur Gharana. My mother stayed in his house for like 20 years in Lucknow. Yeah, she went from Assam, and it was really very difficult during that time. In 1966, she went from Assam to Lucknow to learn sitar. She studied in
Correct.
Bhatkhande Music College and stayed in his place. So what I can see that they were really very so nice and honest, and the musicians, there are still such musicians, but that time was a little bit different. What I heard, huh? So they were very strict actually in choosing students. It's not that they used to teach everyone. So naturally, they used to focus on the stars used to focus on their sons, especially, or daughters. But that is not the case with everyone. Maybe it really, if they find that that student is, like benevolent, which they humble and respectful, then they will be naturally teaching, I think, but it takes time. It's not that they do only arm talim. The khas talim was
True.
also there. Actually, I've heard from my Guruji also, Pani Debu Chaudhary ji, about Mustaq Ali Khan Sahib. There are so many, like what we say, traditional bandishas. I heard traditional gods. But my Guruji was not from any music lineage.
Musical family.
Musical family. He didn't belong to that. He has his Guru Parampara, but not his family Parampara. But but his Ustadji used to teach all the tradition, but he took a lot of examination to him before teaching him,
accepting him as a
before
disciple whom he can transmit all the information and the wisdom and the knowledge. I think Mitadi has something to add over here or speak about. Mitadi, yeah, please.
Without being disrespectful to any guru or any ustad, like what I think, that just as you have a kind of family business or you have a special skill of a particular family, so all the great ustads or the gurus, they wanted to keep their own music, the treasures, their own skills within the prerogative of the family. It often happened that there was special techniques or some special bandishas which they didn't want to part with among their students and disciples because they treated it like a family treasure, like an ancestral property, and which should be just handed down to the heirs, to the lineage, the sons or the daughters. And so with the gurus, like they had this special kind of possessiveness for the materials, and they didn't want to part with it to all the disciples. But again, it so happened that sometimes they found disciples who were really very, very talented. And then, it was a matter of choice. Then they would decide, like, if that disciple became a very, very, like, close to the guru or to the sadh, whatever, then maybe he had the privilege of learning all those special techniques and styles, the special materials from his master.
True. I want to add something over here. I agree with you. I feel for any person who is teaching, it's not a job. It has to be full of pleasure as well. They have to enjoy it as well, right? It's not like somebody's a book and you open the book and okay, I want page number 49 because I love page number 49. That's not what a guru is. So it's a connection with the student. When that happens, when they can sync musically, I think that's when wisdom could be transferred. Otherwise, it needs to be enjoyable for the guru as well. It's not just something that, okay, because somebody's taking money or not taking money, but because somebody's learning from somebody, they have to give everything as well. So that's the counterpoint, perhaps, to some extent. Rohan, yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to share a short story that I just remembered.
Yes,
I once was learning from Dada Guruji, Ustad Abdul Halim Zafar Khan Sahib. It was a rare occasion. And he was teaching me. And after, I think I was not able to connect to a very deeper level because I was abstracted. So he told me to keep down the sitar and listen to me. I'm not here to teach you what I know. I'm here to invoke in you what you have within. So that's my. So I still remember that what he said. It still, goes around my mind. Yeah. So sorry to interrupt.
Such a beautiful thing. No, it was one of the most important things that could have been said. I think, yeah, we agree. That's what I was saying. And it's so beautifully said by the master himself.
Yes.
That, it's not like you're a book. No teacher is a book. He's a guide, somebody who is going to take you forward. For that, you also need to submit to your guru. But also one needs to know about their gurus as well. One has to choose their gurus well as well. Murchana, you raised your hand. Could you please go on? Yeah.
I was saying that I really agree with what Mita ji said, actually. This is also very true. But I think that the ustad and like gurujis or gurus, they taste this student first, and if they see their capability, musical ability, then I think they don't keep it themselves, because I have
No,
seen
not
so many.
always. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They are taksali
True,
bandishes, and I am, yeah, and so
true,
many things. Like if Ustad Alauddin Khan Sahab can teach Pandit Ravi Shankar ji,
true, true,
he was not from any musical background to that
true,
extent. He has his
true.
own son, Ustad Ali Aba Khan Sahab. Then why did he teach then Pandit Ravi
So
Shankar ji? I mean,
perhaps we are
yeah,
also
it
looking
depends.
at, true. I think perhaps just like not every human being is the same,
Right,
every
right.
guru is not the same. That's why one has to go and be with the right person. Otherwise, it doesn't make any difference to that person. Abhik, what do you want to say about it?
Hi. Actually, I completely agree with all of the panelists here. And as a continuation of Rohan's beautiful anecdotal little the story, I can also say about when, like last time I talked about Kashijetu's training, and he would expect me to give a different expression than his while teaching. That also is very similar in line, that what are you thinking, invoking the inner you. That's what a guru does.
Kya baat hai? Beautifully said.
Right.
Beautifully said, Abhik.
Thanks. Thank you.
Shravani, what's your opinion on this? You are teaching many people as well, and you are a student of my Ustadji as
Yes,
well. So what are your experiences?
since after just 1995, I had some opportunities to perform lecture demonstration in Tokyo University and Greece and other. So whatever I learned from my ustadji, from gurus also, because whenever I am going to learn from ustadji, so I never find out anything differences between his family members and disciples. I never. This is the something different, that every time we cannot join him whenever he is in India. Sorry, but whenever we are with our guru, so I never find, because we always used to sit together with his son and all the khas disciples, and he shared his life stories and what is good, what is bad, because always my ustadi say only learning music is not enough. You have to learn the sanskar also, how to sit in front of your guru, and what things, just every time you don't ready for playing, for copying whatever I am playing, just immediately you start to play. Don't do this. First you sit nicely, you concentrate, you listen the music, and when your brain is working well and you are feeling music, then afterwards also, if you don't copy and don't record, then also you can have my lessons like this. So the same way, I have also so many students from India and abroad too. So mostly Indian students, they are coming and whole day, okay, they are cooking also, they are spending time with me, and just in between, ma'am, what is this raga? What is there the things? What is this khatka, murki? So this way also I teach. And I also never maintained any copy, like Mita Di said, like any copy and notebook. Especially my time, that time no, we had no opportunity to handle the laptop and that. So my all foreigner students also, they used to stay with me, especially Saturday, Sunday, they are happy because I have holiday from my college school. So they, from Friday, they are ready. I can stay with my Guruji now. So staying means not all the time lesson and sitting with Sita like this. They very much love to listen my stories, and they very much love how the riyaj should going very smoothly like this. So this way I never hide anything. Is that I teach my family like this special gut, and this is for my students, not like this. So everything is open like a book. So
I think the generation, Shrabani, the generation has also changed.
Yes.
People in olden days, if we think about it in a different perspective, now whatever you play is on the internet. If you do not teach, somebody else is going to pick up, and that is also there. So things have changed though from there. But I feel there are people who do care for their students, and they
Yes.
do have time for their students, and they wish their students to improve. And I feel there are wonderful gurus out there, and that's so heartening. But there are also people who are perhaps not as motivated. So, but people make professions. People teach because it's a profession, so you cannot stop that. But yeah, both the sides are there. I think that brings us to Riaz. So Anindoda has got another question. Um, he has asked, what is Riaz? How it differs from sadhana and charcha? Is it necessary to do Riaz for a longer period? Are there any rules of Riaz, or it varies from person to person? These are 4 different topics in Riaz. So we'll start with Mitadi. If somebody asks you, what is Riaz? What would you say about it?
Now, Riyaz, I think Riyaz is actually acquiring the skill. So I see, when I talk of Riyaz, I see it in the same way as maybe a carpenter will learn to just use his saw, or maybe a shoemaker will learn to tan the leather, and a mason will learn just to use his instruments.
Tools.
It's a skilled labor. Riyaz is actually skilled labor. Like, so we are also, when we talk of Riyaz, we are a sort of like skilled workers. Our field is the field of music. And so by drilling, by intensive drilling, we are just building a tremendous reflex between us and our instrument, because it has to be a very, very momentary connection. Whatever we are thinking, we are reproducing instantaneously. We really don't have the time to think. So it's spontaneous. So that spontaneity will come, and that perfection, spontaneity, and that reflex, this will come only through rigorous riyas.
Kya baat hai?
Everything. So it's like
Kya
a
baat hai?
skilled labor. I see it as a
Skill.
form of skilled labor. Yes.
Uh-huh. So, Sahana, how would you define Riyaz? For you, what is Riyaz?
Yeah, I agree with Mitadi. The same thing, that Riyaz means, you see that when Guru gives talim, there are some parts that they will advise.
Something happened to the internet of Shahana ji,
Thing
perhaps?
happened, and the total
Some
volume
Murchanas.
is also
Hello?
little
Hello?
Okay.
down.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go on, Shahana ji. Yeah, I think.
One moment, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, my volume is down. Now it's full.
No,
The
I can hear
total
you.
volume, everybody's. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I think it's from your phone,
Yeah.
perhaps, Reena ji.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
it is okay. So Riyaz, I remember that my father used to give me some paltas, and my mother also used to give me some paltas. So I have to do it 300 times maybe before going to school, and after coming back, the same paltas I have to do. And then my mother will say that, Acha, now you create taan with these paltas. How you will handle this? And before that, the every day, maybe it is 1 week session. The same paltas, you just 5-6 paltas Ma will give and Baba will give some. So I am doing just bone breaking, there is no pause. Maybe after 100 times, maybe it is not clear. Ma will say, no, it is not clear. So it is cancelled. So again, you start. So sometimes I used to be so angry. Why Ma is telling me like this? Everyone is playing after coming back from school, but I am not allowed to. Everyone is
Same story.
So I have to go to roof. I don't have any friend, but I have to go to terrace, so I can find something there to maybe. So but Ma will say, no, this is, you have to play it again, because the last presentation was not so clear, so you have to play again 200 times. At first you do, then I will give you something for eating, then you do again 100 times, then 300 times again. So in this way, then I started loving, So
Yes.
there is a period when we object mentally. That is why I have to do this. But
True.
after a few years, I started loving doing this.
So why did you
If-
start loving? So we are slightly off from the question, but it's nice. It's very important, I think. So the question was, what is Riyaz, according to
Yeah.
you? But you're talking about how it changed from, kind of like something which is
Because
forced on you to something that you love. So what was the difference? When did you start
difference
learning
is
loving?
difference is when I started acquiring the skill with my labor, my confidence, that I started growing my confidence within me. And at the same time, when after 2 years, when I'm doing this nicely, definitely my father is telling, wow, kya baat? Yes, acha. So my mother is also encouraging me. So I started, there's a musical rapport. It's with my instrument and myself. I am connecting more and more and more. It is music
True.
and my sitar
True.
and me. So it is also kind of friendship with your instrument
Absolutely.
you are making.
Absolutely. True.
It
Very
is
true.
this is kind of a friendship. That's when I consider my sitar, I start considering my sitar as my best friend, because it gives me most, that joyful moments. And
True,
when I can
true.
play, my baba ma is giving me encouragement. So what
True.
what I
that brings us to a very important thing that you said. I think you said that one has to enjoy their riyaz. If you do not
Yes.
enjoy your riyaz, it's just like you are not in it. So
Yeah.
one part of that enjoyment is also you have to have a sitar that sounds good, because
Yes.
without that you cannot just play for hours, because you have to feel something over here. We are human beings.
Yeah.
So that's such an important thing that you said. Reena, you had something to say, please.
And just one word I would like to say that when your hand started flying like anything, you automatically you understand that what is going on.
True.
It's just you can play in a feather touch.
True.
Yes.
True.
Technically it started brilliant. You don't have to understand the other things, only your hands. It's just after polishing it started
True.
flying. So
True,
that
true.
you can understand very easily, though you
True.
are child or anything. And later on
Right.
maturity comes and all that, we just
Absolutely.
connect with music. But initially
Yeah.
you will be first, you have to be happy, then automatically interest starts
Yeah,
also.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's a combination of what you're getting from your guru. Are you getting inspired to do riyaz? Because when you see your guru doing riyaz and improving, because even gurus are improving, if you reach your guru's level, then your guru is stagnant. So that cannot happen. Your guru has to keep on improving as well. So when that happens, that every few months or every few years you see a difference, something new, you feel like, oh, I have to do this, I have to have that as well. So that's such a beautiful thing that you said, Reena. Yeah,
It's
Shana,
a
do you have
challenging
something to say?
thing. It's a
Yeah, it's a
challenging
challenge.
thing.
It's a challenge. Reena
If someone
Shana
even is not born in musician's family, even if, because I have many students, I can express this from my own experience. The first few weeks they become, that, oh my God, it's not happening. But when they start playing, means effortlessly, maybe flawlessly, it touches their heart also.
True.
And
True.
they fall in love with sitar. They
True.
fall in love. This is spontaneous process.
Kya baat hai? Natural, spontaneous process. That's the beauty of it.
Natural.
Mita di.
Something that I remember in this context is that Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahib, he had said that just going on doing riyaz for hours without focusing on what you should practice and what you
Kya
need
baat
to
hai?
practice is very
Kya baat hai?
important. So,
Very
because
important.
I tell you, this is an interesting story. We had a neighbor in our old house. He used to learn from my grandfather. But he used to vie with my father, and he thought that he could play as good or maybe better than my father. So when my father used to practice maybe for 8 or 10 hours, he used to practice the entire day, even through the midnight. But it was all, he didn't follow the right method of Riyaz. So Riyaz is not, it doesn't have its fruitfulness if you don't do the riyaz in the right
correct
method.
way.
That is very
Absolutely.
important, the
Absolutely.
technique. And
True.
Ustadji used to say that practice more those materials which you get stuck. There are certain materials after riyaz you can play with, but just focus and practice those materials where you are getting stuck.
True.
So focus more on those. So it should follow a method, a system, a technique.
True.
These are very important.
And I feel personally, the riyaz that one does when that person is 6 years old, 5 years old, it's not the same riyaz that they do when they're 40 years old, when they're 30 years old, when they're 20 years old. It evolves. Because you are keeping on adding something to it. You're keeping something rolling. Abhik.
Yeah, thank you. It was brilliantly said by Reena di, Sahana di, and Mita di. Just to extend that thing, can we now say that Riyaz itself is like a two-stage process? As the first stage is honing your skills, making what you're thinking that comes in your hand on the expression, and to become a craftsman, a very skilled craftsman. And the second stage of Riyaz, which might be called sadhana, I'd want to get into the etymology, from that craftsmanship, from that craftsman to make into an artist, where you're applying your philosophy, your thought, your all colors of your gurus and whoever you met, and make your own blend. And that's a different sort of a riyaz. So
absolutely,
that's my observation so far. Thanks.
Absolutely, Abhik. I think one might be able, as Mita had used some metaphors, so one can have that fantastic precision of the knife in doing something, in cutting some filigree.
Yeah.
But if they only know only that much, and every shop they can give only that much, it's an art, no doubt. But somebody who can actually custom make something, every time it's completely different. Every time there's something new in it for the people to, observe and appreciate. I think that's incredible. And that's what exactly you said, right?
Beautiful saying, of Rabindranath Tagore, exhibitionের সার্থকতা তার বাহুল্যে, বা the quantity, and art's সার্থকতা তার পরিমিতি বোধে.
Fantastic.
So,
fantastic. Beautifully said.
Thanks.
Beautifully said. Yes.
But I cannot translate into English. Sorry.
No, but we can have you can also translate that,
just
so that people can understand.
Yeah, exhibition is more or less about the quantity, and art is about the little bit of, like you say a small word and you say a lot in a very, very limited way. You just use a limited means to express a lot of things, because you leave a lot to the listeners to express themselves also through their own perspective.
True. Very true. Very true. So Anindoda's question was about Riyaz, Sadhana, and Charcha. He has distinguished 3 different things. So I think we have covered in general most of the things. I think people are understanding what all of you have to say. And so he has asked, of course, he is a musician himself. He knows, he has learned from musicians, but I think he wanted to help this show. So that's why he asked, are there any rules of Riyaz, or it varies from person to person? So who is going to answer? Murchana, would you like to answer?
Yeah.
What kind of training method do you follow? Do you follow your teacher's training method? Or if you follow your teacher's training method, which teacher's training method? Because many people.
I do, and I also you know, when I was small, it was really different. But as you have said, through ages, differences come. But I think Riyaj means continuously practicing one thing for several times. It's continuous practice. You have to go with it several times. Like in Indian tradition or every tradition, there are, you know, repeated practices. We say the same thing again and again. Like, for example, we say Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya 108 times. Like this, you know, this tradition is there because, you know, this thing is there because it should come in our soul. It should enter into our soul. The same thing goes with the riyaj, not only with the hands. Of course, there are technical aspects will, but it goes within our heart and soul. So this continuous practice is needed. I think when you hold the sitar, at a certain point, you need continuous practice. Like I practice apart for several times, like 200 times. Also ask my students to practice that, and they really do. So it will really improve, and you know that improves the concentration also. And you know, some kind of like dedication and the determination it arises. So you need to practice. Then the basic things you all have said, you know, all Sahana di has said, Mita di has said, everyone has said, these basic things are so important, like palta, alankars, murchanas, this. But this should be practiced continuously. Now I am practicing one palta, then go to the other, and I go to the third one. This will really, I think it doesn't work. If you work with the same thing again and again, continuous practice.
So, in your opinion, the rules of Riyaz, the question was about what are the rules of Riyaz. So in your opinion, one is continuity, and the other one is that you have to do one thing, not multiple things, right? Okay.
Multiple
so let's go
things,
for
not at the same time.
Not at the same time. Absolutely. So let's go to Shrabani. What are your you know, what kind of rules do you follow in Riyaz, and when you teach, does it vary from person to person?
Well, actually, Riyaz, I think this is for every day's one routine work. Like we are taking bath also, we are taking food also, we are doing puja. So why Riyaz stop for any cause? No, there is no. But it's depend upon your timing. And suppose I practice every day after my school time, or every day I have to wake up like 4:30 morning. So like 4 o'clock, half an hour I practice. In school also, sometimes free period, then I take my sitar, and after returning home, then also. But sometimes very special, like Akashvani Sangeet Sammelan. I know after 1 month I have to play on the big stage. That time every day 3 o'clock morning. So this is the Riyaj.
So you are ready to sacrifice many other things in life just to do Riyaz because you love music so much. That is the core
even
of what
every
you are
day,
saying.
maybe I can't sleep 6 hours and 7 hours, but I have to compromise like this because no way. I have no way. No one in my house, so everything I have to do myself. But before some serious concert, big concerts, and other thing like national program of music or some lecture, at that time I have to very serious way the Riyaz. This is not like every day Riyaz. So that time, every day Riyaz, I practice some boards, part by part, this main part, bold part. Every day, everything I have to take for both hands. Not only one thing, Alankar and only one. But before program, that time my practice is step by step, like alap, jod, and chala. Then
so you're talking about working on the format that you'll be presenting.
Right. So this way, Riyaz and sadhana, including Riyaz, and every time we have to be serious. This is if there is some concert or no concert, then no. So this way,
beautifully said. Beautifully said. That you know, I think a true musician is willing to, or you know, a lover of music is willing to sacrifice many other things just to be in music. And to be in music as a musician, one has to work. Otherwise, your hands are going to get rusty, and you're not going to be able to do many things.
Because I have very supportive husband. All the time he is sacrificing also with me. If I cannot take any food, then he brings from outside. But first you do riyaj. Please don't disturb
Kya
the
baat hai.
riyaj. So that way, I'm
That's
really very lucky and
such an
thankful.
important thing. Such an important thing. That brings us to Mita Di as well. Mita Di, there has been a question especially for you. Let me find out the question once again. And it has been sent by Sharnavo because I cannot see the questions. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So our Biplabda has asked a question. I have a question for Mita. Please tell us something regarding some old bandishes of Vishnupur Gharana. So that is the question that he has asked. Biplabda is a fantastic tabla player, and he has asked this question.
Well, I think this is not what we are discussing. This is not the real place to talk about bandishes. Rather, I would just mention in a nutshell that for me, Riyaz and Sadhana are synonymous, because just as a spiritual seeker, you know, he or she goes on counting beads, millions of beads. So that is synonymous with Riyaz. And this itself is a process of sadhana. And that's why, just as a spiritual seeker or anybody who is worshipping has a fixed time and hour of the day for the sadhana, so for Riyaz also, you know, it's best, like maybe dawn or early morning when nature and all our surroundings are very quiet, and at deep night, because we don't have all the disturbances around us. And that there are certain times, certain hours of the day and night which are most suitable for focusing and concentration. And I think if we are truly meditating through Riyaz, then we should fix these hours for our practice. And as regarding the bandeshas, we have one bandesh in Khambaj. In a nutshell, I'll just say that.
Sure, please.
So we very often have these two cycle bandeshas, you know, like two. One is the primary sum and the other is the subordinated sum. Like we say Rohan and Aprodhan. So
true.
Sani sa gare ga ma ni da pa ga ma pa da ni sa ni da ga ma pa pa da ma gare ga sa ni sa gare ga ma ni da pa ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ga ma ni da ni da pa pa ni sa ni da pa pa da ma gare ga sa ni sa gare ga ma ni da pa ga ma pa da ni sa. And so we have these two cycle bandeshas. The thigh actually has two cycles. And then we also have different kinds of divisions. Actually, in the Bishnupur, we don't have any fixed notes. We have structures. And anybody is free just to put the notes, use his own innovations, and just within that structure to frame the compositions. It's the Upaj. So like I was just preparing a bandesh the other day in Rag Behag. So you know, like Sali Salmanaga Pama Gama Pa Gama Papa Mamaga Re Sa Ni Pa Ni Salmanaga Pa Magama Ga Sani Salmanaga Pama Gama Pa Gama Papa Mamaga Re Sa Ni Pa Ni Salmanaga Pa Magama Ga Sani. So there are two sa. So one the sum is on ni and once the sum is on sa. So this is a very creative, like you have a structure and then you keep building on the structure. You just improvise notes and you keep building the structure. And it can have like many kinds of compositions you can just create. It's not any fixed composition.
Right.
Keeping the raga form, you can create. Yes.
That's beautiful. It's slightly off the topic, as you said, that we were talking, but it's beautiful as well. What you
But since the question was there, I was obliged to answer.
Yes. It's a beautiful answer as well. It's a beautiful set of compositions that you talked about. I think what has happened is that because we had planned this event from 7 to 9, it's already 9, and Shrabani has to go. So I'll let Shrabani go. And the others who Mitadi, would you want to stay or would you have to
Yes,
go, right?
no,
Yeah.
because I have an appointment urgent with the doctor
Subhranil, I
regarding
Sure.
have to
Baba's
leave
health.
also.
So
I
it looks
I
like
have to leave
Same with
also.
me.
yeah. So it looks like we are rounding up. So let's stay for 5-6 minutes and then we finish it. So
Okay.
is it fine with that? We'll come back
Yes.
once again. I know because
There
of
are
this
many
technical
other
glitch.
things, social topics, music and the present times,
True,
music
we
and
can have all those
discipleship,
things.
many topics. Yes.
Yeah, many topics we can talk about. I think this was very interesting, and we also managed to express what each one of us feel about it. I think we are going to repeat this in the fourth episode because we have already planned the third episode. So in the fourth episode, we are going to repeat this, the same group. We are going to come together and speak about the things that we couldn't speak this time because of the technical glitch that we had. So I think if Obigda has anything to add to this or he has anything to say to this topic, then we'll be rounding up.
Uh, Regarding Riaz, I think I say that whatever I had to, and
No, I meant
Mitadi,
to say,
Shahanadi, and everyone. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, I meant to, sorry, I meant to say that, you have talked about this very important thing about how to, Riaz is the physical side of it where you work, but also there's the mental side of it where you prepare and visualize and then you execute them. So from
Right.
there, how the question was, how do you transmit that to your students, and does it differ from person to person, like the way you'll be teaching?
No.
As you said, Kashietu said, so when is the time that you can say that, okay, think and find out your new things? Because when you went to Kashietu, you were quite advanced at that time, so we have to keep that in mind. So for your own students, what do you do?
I generally, it's the first, the honing your skills. First, you have to practice, to go through the rigorous things, what is there, and then also keep on listening, not only to Indian classical music or one artist, listen to everyone. So all these different colors that you get, you will start naturally developing your own color. If you listen to, like, it's the same as spirituality. If you listen to part Sant Admi, then you naturally develop a something of your own, and you will know which one to follow.
Right.
Your heart will tell which path to take. It's very natural, and there's a guru has nothing to do, means I have nothing to do with it. The student will naturally take the path,
That's
whom he is or she is liking. That's very natural. It's a very process. That's why all people have different favorite artists, or else there will be only one.
True, very true,
Right?
very true.
Because
very
if
true.
some people have inclination, for some people it changes, and I cannot be an hindrance to the advancement of a student, but telling them, hey, only follow this, only follow that. No, if that's his or her idea, they should do that. Because it's music at the end of the days, which is much bigger than all the artists of the world combined throughout ages.
True, very true.
Thanks.
So there should be your
Reena
own style, I think.
Yes,
you make your own style also.
Yes, Didi, that's what I was mentioning.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You have to make your own style.
Shahanadi, what do you have to add to it? Microphone.
I agree with Abhik, what Abhik is telling. I really agree. And you know that Riyaz and thinking and listening, when you are physically, you are playing. Riyaz doesn't mean that you have to play in speed. You have to play in lowest speed. You have to start with the lowest speed. And lowest speed will give you the natural speed. You will acquire natural speed. What is your capability actually? And then means you have to find your comfort zone when you are playing, when you are doing riyaz, you have to find your comfort zone when your body is not aching, when you are not uncomfortable, when your back is not paining, and you have to play for maybe 2 hours, then you take rest for 5 minutes, then you will see automatically your speed level is developing. Maybe. And then if doesn't, again you go slowest, try to play in slowest speed, and then you will acquire the natural speed. That is actual riyaz. I find some people there, they sit and they play with high speed. And then after some time, they will say, oh, it's spinning here. And it is nothing actually, result is 0. So it is one point. And the second point is that when you are not doing your riyaz, you listen very good vocal music and instrumental music both. Vocal music is mandatory for playing instrumental music. Listening at least. Listening,
very true.
Very much important. All kinds of vocal music. It may be Drupad Dhamar, it may be Khayal, it may be Thumri. Your ear should be trained.
True.
I am not talking about who are only from musicians family. I am all talking about in general for everyone.
True.
We also do the same. We also do the same process. And then after, then when you know that at our stage means we sit, means Riyaz is most favorite time for us. It is not something that difficult or something we are doing something that will troublesome. Means it is our most relaxed time. Means Riyaz is the most pleasant moments for to pursue. And when we are playing, we are also listening our own music. And when we find that it is not good, try to rectify. Think why I am not liking my music. From which point I have to rectify, correct myself. So these are the the techniques of doing techniques. I won't say techniques, but the methods of pursuing good riyaz. And during your riyaz, you have to be peaceful. There is no hurry. There is no hurry. If you think that okay, I have 1 hour in hand, so I will play in speed and I will do many paltas together, maybe 10 times of paltas I have done, my riyaz is finished. No, nothing, actually 0.
No.
You have to take only 1 or 2 variations, and you have to continue for 3 hours. Then stop. Take a cup of tea and just think. Then again start. And nowadays we have, that gadgets, you can record yourself. We can find that where I'm not sounding well, or, that at that time it was not there. So we are really lucky to have so many facilities nowadays.
Yeah.
And Riyaz is, Riyaz will be your complete relaxation. You have to love your Riyaz. Otherwise not possible. If it is not burden, it is not burden.
No.
Riyaz is not burden.
Nobody can force somebody to do riyaz. Either you do riyaz or you do not riyaz.
At our childhood,
do not do riyaz. That's it.
Yeah, during our childhood, our parents forced us. But
as a result, childhood times.
Yeah, as a result, we started loving our music. When we did rigorous riyaz, gradually we found ourselves within our music. Yes.
True.
I can play, and it has started giving me pleasure.
True. So that brings us to some of the topics that we are going to talk about in the next. Yeah.
One message for the disciples. I agree with Sahana. Whoever comes to learn an instrument like the sitar, where the whole pressure of the instrument is on your body and on your heart, sitting in the right back posture, and also using your muscles correctly is very, very important, because I have found many disciples suffering from very bad shoulder pains and back pains. So for any disciple who is learning this tantravadya, whatever, it can be a sarod or a violin or a sitar, subahar, it's very important, the right posture of sitting. It's a yogic posture.
True.
And from the beginning, this has to be.
It has to be very scientific, the way you sit. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself. It's very important that's why it's very important to go to a person who knows. And from all of your words, I think we are also reaching that area that we know very precisely what we are going to talk in the next session. Because what Shahanadi said at the very end, she said that, when you discover yourself through your riyaz, your own voice through your riyaz, playing. But, also there's this thing about playing in front of people that inspires us to keep on improving, giving something new. Otherwise, you'll be at home and playing and never getting rectified, if I can use that word. So in this age, how that dictates Riyaz, this is one point that we are going to talk in the next episode, and so many other things. I think this is a very important area. So thank you. Thanks to Reena Di, thanks to Shrabani Di, thanks to Mita Di, Sahana Di, Murchana, Abhik Da, Rohan,
Thank you.
Luisa.
Taken care of.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was so nice to be over here.
And thanks Subhranil and Luisa.
My
Thank you,
pleasure, my
Shubhranil
pleasure.
and
And
Luisa.
thanks
Thank you
to
so much.
all
Such
my
a nice
co-panelists
Thank
for this
discussion we had
very warm
today.
and wonderful panel.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
We are
time.
going
Likewise.
to.
Thank you
We are
so
also
much.
going
That's a
to
beautiful
meet
much.
in
word.
real life
Beautifully
as well,
put.
and we are going to do work on music together. We are going to make it happen. So that is
Yeah,
what we are
definitely.
going to do, not just
Looking
Looking
forward to that.
online,
yes.
online as
Yeah,
offline as
looking
well.
forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So namaskar and good night
Great.
to everyone.
Namaskar.
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 Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.